What's going on, Decepticons? Welcome back to my channel, your spot for DJ mixes and gaming. If you're in the mood for something a little aggressive while you're gaming, don't forget to head on over to my playlist section where I uploaded Cyberpunk, my newest synthwave mix. Very aggressive. If you need something chill or any other type of subgenre, check it out. I've got a whole bunch of mixes there for your listening needs. And if you're into the mods and you want to know more about what we do and how we do it, just head on over to our Discord. The invite link is in the description below. Today, I'm going to be going over 3 awesome arcades that I visited while I was in Vegas. This is a different type of a video, but today I'm going to be showing a whole bunch of unedited content that I took while I was in Vegas in these 3 spots. But I picked these 3 because they were somewhat close to the area that I was in, and they all have their specific vibes to them, so I wanted to point that out. The first arcade I went to is called Player One Video Game Bar, and this is located right off the north strip of Vegas, and it's about 2 miles off, a couple blocks away. And this is probably the best one out of the 3 I went to. It is an arcade first, but it is also a brewery, so you do need to be 21 and over to get in. But that being said, this is probably the best arcade that I went to out of the 3. As soon as you walk in, you are greeted by a whole bunch of old school gaming artifacts. And from what I see, most of them are available to be purchased. So if you wanted to buy some of this stuff, they do have price tags on there. Of course, I was just in here for the games. It is a $5 cover for each person. So as soon as you do that, you can just walk right in to the gaming area, and all of the arcade games are free. That's the really cool part about this place. They also do have a pinball section. Those do cost money. They are quarters. I don't know how many quarters each one takes. I'm guessing just 1 quarter, but those are not free. As soon as you walk in here, it definitely feels like a legit arcade and a bar/brewery second. I mean, there are just so many games in here, and they have games from the early 80s all the way up to the early 2000s, roughly the late 90s. But they also do have new gaming consoles. I caught Street Fighter 6 being played as I was leaving, so obviously they have a PS5. I don't know about the newer Xbox, but they do have a section where you can sit down and play the newer consoles. But let's just take a walk through the actual arcade itself. They have so many games. Here you can see NBA Jam. We just passed by NFL Blitz. Those are key games from the 90s that really stand out to me. As you keep walking, they have old school games, like Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man, and a majority of the games work. I would say from what I saw, 90 to 95% of the games worked. There were a couple that I walked by. Some of the screens didn't work. They weren't turned on. But other than that, like I said, everything else seemed to work. They also had classic consoles that you could play. So they had the Atari 2600, which you see right here. I believe that's the Atari 2600. The classic controllers, which I remember that was actually my very first console. And just a whole bunch of other areas. These were not turned on though, so I don't know what's going on with them. The Nintendo, I think that's it's the Play Choice. A lot of people like seeing that. And then right next to that, they had the NES, which people were playing Mario Brothers on. The whole area was decorated pretty cool, and the music was nice. They did have a mix of 80s and early 90s music going on. Here's the section that I was talking about. I think that's the Switch that they're playing right there. And of course you have the sit-down cabs. I forgot what those are called. Asteroids actually bought the arcade 1-up version of this and hacked it into, or modded it into a Tron. Of course, they have the QR codes for the drink menu and the food menu, the different beers that they have. It looked like they had a lot of beer to choose from, a lot of microbrews and craft beers if you're into that. Unfortunately, they didn't have any mixed drinks. I was kind of in the mood for a mixed drink that night, but it's okay. Centipede, I have not seen this in a while. I noticed that a lot of the cabinets were in great condition. Indiana Jones, and I love the way that the marquee kind of flashes off and on like a fire. It kind of flickers. And really, guys, I just want to show you everything that I saw here, because you're walking through this place and you're just surrounded by cabinets. Everywhere you look, everywhere you turn, they use the space really well. Ninja Gaiden, one of my favorite arcade games, although hard AF. I've never beaten it, not even on my arcade 1-ups. It's too difficult. It's a game that they designed to just grab all of your money, and you just keep putting money in and money in and money in. They had a whole bunch of different types of games here too. They had obviously your fighting games, they had your platformers, they had shooters, light gun games, and they even have a rhythm game section right here. DDR, I have not seen one of these in so long. I was so happy to see this. And they have Guitar Hero right over there, which is so cool. Just gonna show you guys a little bit of the wall art that they have. Pixel art of RoboCop, a classic 80s game. Got Magneto from X-Men. And the sounds while you're in here are so cool. Just hearing so many arcade machines on at once. That's basically my goal. That's the sound that I want to have when I have my little game room going on. Right now, you've seen my setup and it's in my living room, and I only have a couple arcade games. But at some point, I'm going to have my own little room, and it is going to have a real arcade sound like that. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but it's going to happen. Like I mentioned earlier, the light gun shooters, always fun to play. And look what I came across. They actually had a Wii, the black Wii. Unfortunately, for some reason, the Mario Kart Wii disc was taken out and nobody was playing this. Kind of lame, but okay, whatever. Moving on. Next is the pinball section, and they have a pretty good selection of pinball games to go through. Like I said, these do take quarters, and they had a change machine, but I never carry cash. So unfortunately, I didn't get to play any of these pinball machines, which sucks, but at least the aesthetics of them was really cool, and I got to capture that for the most part. They had some newer pinball machines, and they had some older ones too. It was really nice to just check them out. Like, there's a very, very old school pinball machine. When the time frame is of this one, like what year it came from, I have no idea, but I could just tell it's really old. And then they also had newer pinball machines like Toy Story, and this one looked amazing. Look at this. It's just all LEDs. It's like seizure warning. And honestly, if you are susceptible to seizures, you probably shouldn't be playing pinball games in the first place, or maybe any type of game up close like that. It probably wouldn't be too safe. And just showing you the rest of the pinball machines. Like I said, they have a pretty good collection of those over here. As you can see, the background monitors are working on this one. Pretty newer machine. The original Tron cabinet. I was so happy to see this because this is probably my biggest memory being a kid from the arcades. I was so bummed though. The blacklight was not working on this cabinet, and it was pretty beat up, to be honest. The joystick was very stiff, and it wouldn't really recognize the up and right movements, and the little spinner on there was not working correctly. It was very hard to move. It was pretty sad, but it was nice to see this as a full-size cabinet. All in all, Player One has a really good vibe of the 80s and 90s, and I feel like they meshed that in very well. Best setup as far as the arcade game collection and pinball collection, the biggest collection that I saw out of the three that I visited, and the vibe is just arcade more than brewery, which is really hard to come across when you're checking out barcades. The second arcade I got to check out in Vegas was Circus's arcade. Why? Because Circus is so nostalgic for me. I used to go to this place all the time as a kid, and I haven't been there since. So it was really nice to walk back in here after so many years and get that rush of nostalgia. So obviously they have changed some things. The arcade machines are newer, more modern. The carpet looks like it hasn't been updated in years, and the whole place of Circus in general looks like it's stuck in a time warp of either the late 90s or early 2000s, but that does not bother me. That's why I wanted to come in here. I wanted to feel nostalgia, and I get it walking through here. This arcade is dingy like I remember the old arcades. Unfortunately, I didn't get a lot of video of this place, but I did just want to showcase the different types of games they do have in here. They have racing games, first-person light gun shooters like on-rail shooters such as Halo, and in the back they did have some classic games tucked all the way in the corner. A little creepy if I'm gonna be honest, but at least they kept a few of the classics around. And of course they had the prize games like the crane games and other machines where they have stuffed animals and whatnot that you could win. The third and final bar I visited in Vegas is called Asylum Bar Arcade. This is located inside Asylum 15, a few miles off of the Las Vegas Strip. Asylum 15 and this arcade bar itself are free to get in, which is a plus, but the games do cost money. They cost quarters or tokens in this case, so you'll need to use the cash token exchange machine that they have in order to play these games. I love the aesthetics of this place. This is more of a modern take on the barcade genre or theme, and the way that they mixed new LED lighting with black lights is just amazing. Like, look at this staircase. This place is 2 stories, by the way. So when you go up to the 2nd story, you are welcomed by more arcade games, pool tables, and they even have a smaller section of pinball machines. They also do have a second bar up here at the top. As you can see, it is a little bit smaller than the other arcades that I did go to, but the aesthetics again and the vibe in here are just so on point. The lighting is what makes this place pop. The artwork on the walls is amazing. Like, check out this mech warrior. It's so cool, and the placement that they used is just amazing. The Asylum Barcade did have a good mix of older and newer games as well. I noticed on the 1st floor they did have newer racing game setups, and they did have a little basketball section to play, the little mini basketball game that you'd usually see like at Dave & Buster's. All around, just a pretty good variety of things that you can choose to play. Just as a note, you can be of any age to get into the 1st floor, but if you want to go to the 2nd floor, you do need to be 21 and over. Again, I like this place not because of the size. The size is pretty good, but it's more about the aesthetics and just the way that they mix modern and classic aesthetics. It's just so cool. They have it on point. Asylum, you guys did a good job with your aesthetics here. I love it. Keep up the good work. So that's going to be my visit to the 3 arcades, and I hope that this allows you to make a decision of whenever you are in Vegas, if you're in Vegas, to check these 3 out. They're so cool, each with a different vibe. I know that there's so many other arcades out in Vegas, but I hope this helps you to make a decision on to maybe visit these 3 and also support them, because we need more arcades like this. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Again, a different format. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the comments section below, and I'll try to answer them as best as possible. And expect to see more videos like this in the future, because I will be checking out more arcades around where I'm at, and wherever I venture out into this country or hopefully in another country, I'll be posting more of these in the future. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed going to these places, and I will see you all on the next video. Peace.